Good morning, students. This is the continuation of chapter number 4 Forest Society and Colonialism from History. And today I will discuss with you only one topic, and this is the rise of commercial forestry in India. Okay? So, students, as I told you in my previous explanation about the Britishers who were needed forest in order to build ship and railways track in all over the India, where they had presidencies or important trading center, and in Britain also. But Britishers were worried about the reckless and blindly cutting of forest by the common people of India, because as I told you already that Britishers had given contract to the local people of India for the felling and cutting of trees, and that time people were not very much well known about the forest and forestry or scientific forestry. That's why they are cutting forest without any searching of special species or without any planning. So finally, Britishers had decided to invite a German expert whose name was Dietrich Brandes for advice. And when he came in India, Britishers made him the first Inspector General of Forest in India. Okay? After the research and a review over the Indian forest, Brandes realized that there is a need of proper system for the cutting and planting of trees and forest. That's why he introduced many policy to manage the forest and people who were busy in cutting of forest. And also they had realized that people had to be trained in the conservation of forest and also in the scientific forestry. And whatever Brandes wanted to implement in India or wanted to teach the common people, that system would need legal sanctions. So, whatever rules related to the use of forest resource had to be framed by the Britishers with the help of Brandes in all over the India. Like felling of trees and grazing had to be restricted. So, in this way, they could be preserved for timber production. And anybody who cut trees without following the system had to be punished by the British order. Okay? So, in this way, for the plantation and scientific forestry, in 1864, Brandes set up the first Indian Forest Service, which helped and formulate the Indian Forest Act of 1865. And for this, the Imperial Forest Research Institute was set up at Dehradun in 1906, and whatever Brandes wanted to teach or learn the Indians, this system is known as scientific forestry. Alright? But many people that time who were ecologists and environmentalists, they feel that whatever system followed by Brandes, that is not scientific and scientific conservation at all. Okay? And according to the scientific forestry of Brandes, natural forest which had lots of different types of trees were cut down, and in their place only single species or one type of tree was planted in a straight row one by one. Okay, you know very well that about the plantation, and this method is known as plantation. So, as well as after the scientific forestry, forest officials started survey in these forests, whatever made by the Dendrick Brandis, and estimated the area under different types of trees and made working plans for the forest management. Because already, as I told you in my previous explanation, that according to the Britishers, forests were unproductive if they are not usable for anyone anyhow. That's why they also made many research and plans for the forest management. And finally, they planned that how much of the plantation area to cut every year, and whatever area cut by them, then they have to replant so that it was ready to be cut again in some years, and after the cutting of that tree again replanted by them. So this is the method of scientific forestry according to the Dietrich Brandis. Alright. And after some years later again, whatever Forest Act was enacted in 1865 was changed twice, and again it replanted in 1878, and after some time later again in 1927 to make effective forest policy or scientific forestry in all over the India. And according to the 1878 Act, this act divides forest into three categories: reserve forest, protected forest, and village forest. Understood? And the best forest was the reserve forest. And as you know very well that whatever policy maintained by the Britishers, according to the policy of Britishers, no common people or no any villagers were allowed for entering or for using any products from these reserve forests of India. And even for house building or for fuel and for other things, they were totally banned by the British government. And if anyone dared to enter in these reserve forests, whatever reserved by the Britishers, that were punished by British policy. Alright. So students, for today's that's all, and in my next explanation I will discuss with you how were the lives of people whatever affected by the forest policy, in which forests were divided in reserve, protected and village forest. Alright, thank you and have a nice day.